You okay? All right. Good afternoon. Welcome to the October meeting of the Airport Special Management Committee. If you would join me and rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, at this time I would entertain any comments on the consent agenda from the public. Are there any public comments? Okay, seeing none. Okay, we'll go to the consent agenda. Anybody have any items they want to pull? Oh.
Got you there.
Uh-oh. Thank you. Anybody have any items they want to pull from the consent agenda?
None.
All right, good. All right,
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
all right. Been moved and seconded. Any comments from the board? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. We'll move on to the administrative agenda. So Brian.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Brian McGonigal. Administrative item number 20, we're requesting the board approve an amendment to the current professional service agreement we have with Commercial Property Southwest Florida for an additional land study at the Southwest Florida International Airport. Phase 1 for a not to exceed amount of approximately $156,000, and Phase 2 for a not to exceed amount of $473,000. A little background here on what the work that they've been doing for us. In September of 22, we approved a professional service agreement with this firm, Commercial Property Southwest Florida. They did their Phase 1, and they presented at the March workshop, if you recall. Don and Gary presented their deliverables from Phase 2, from Phase 1. Phase 2, they'll come back here at the January workshop in January, in a few months from now. What was interesting in the Phase 1 is one of the outcomes in Phase 1 is they discovered that the demand for land in that Skyplex area, the demand for land is greater than what's available in the Skyplex area. So we're going to do an additional land study and take the land south of us. I included a map in your backup, but there's approximately 1,100 acres south of us off of Alico, and this property off of Tree Line, totaling about 1,100 acres. That was not in their study. We recommend that it makes sense to put it all in there. So they're going to do a Phase 1 and Phase 2, just like they're doing right now for additional lands. So you happy to answer any questions or?
No?
I would like to hear from Don. He's here, and I'd like to know more about this. I'd like to know how they came to the conclusion that we need to add more land, and you give us a little bit about your thought process of how we came to this item to vote on today. And what it is you're proposing to add and why.
Afternoon. Don Scrotenbor, the project manager for the Skyplex development. Thank you for the opportunity today, and thank you for your question. So how this originated was, as Brian alluded to, was out of our part of our Phase 1 for Skyplex. We did a market study. Part of that we presented to you back in March, as he said. And the biggest outcome that we noted in that market study was for logistics. And even though you see considerable amount of logistics and warehouse being built around this facility, as well as you go further north up and down the I-75 corridor, our market study showed a continued demand, even above what is currently being provided and under construction, of a little over 18 million square feet over the next 20 years for logistics and warehouse within what we call the submarket, which is basically Southwest Florida, if you will. Of that 18 million square feet. We projected that Skyplex could capture approximately roughly 24-25% of that, call it $4.8 million over the first 10 years, and then approximately 43% or 7.9 million square feet over 20 years. As we got into our master planning for Skyplex, which will be coming back to you as under our phase 2, we quickly realized there's not enough land to do what we have envisioned for Skyplex to be entertainment, retail, hospitality, logistics, airside. However, out of that, we were only able to program in our current master plan 2.7 million square feet of logistics over 20 years build out, 25 year build out. So we feel that there is a lot of low hanging fruit in terms of the logistics, in terms of what's out there in the market, demand over the next 20 years, what is, we believe, is capable for RSW to retain of that, as I've already indicated, of that 18 million. And so we came back to Brian and Mark and Ben and suggested to them that we look at the additional lands to the south, which, as Brian mentioned, is just give or take around 1,100 acres. We think that that has given its access onto Alico, and with the Alico extender going eventually out to 82 over the next several years, its access to I-75, that it is primed for logistics components. So we suggested, they agreed to entertain a proposal to study that land in a very similar nature as we're doing to Skyplex phase 1, where we do existing conditions. And in this case, we will not be doing a market study or an economic study because we've already got that information. So the value of the investment that you've put into Skyplex is now being spread better throughout the rest of RSW. And then phase 2 will be master planning based on our existing conditions, and then a financial analysis as well. So we can come back to you very similar to how we'll be coming back in January on Skyplex to show you how this all works financially. So that's how this came about, and hopefully that answers your question.
It does, and I'm also curious, these areas that have been identified to be included into the plan, approximately 1,100 acres, lack infrastructure.
Yes.
And they also, I'm not sure off the top of my head, but we're probably going to be seeing capital costs for sewer plant expansion, water plant expansion. Are those costs going to be able to be passed on to the end user?
Well, that would be the ultimate goal, right? Part of the financial analysis is not only looking at it as a straight land lease, typical to what RSW and Port Authority has done over the years, but what other types of capital stacks are out there that could be considered. When you start talking about those kind of infrastructure improvements, there's public dollars out there for that. And right now, there's not a better time for public dollars than what there is in this market today. So we'll be coming back to you with that. I anticipate it will be a significant infrastructure improvement that will be needed. How it's paid for, how it's financed, that's part of our analysis in phase 2 that will be coming back.
Great, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Don, when do you anticipate your work will be done?
Right now, we have phase 1 projected for about 14 weeks, and then phase 2 for an additional 20 weeks. There may be some overlaps on that. So call it, 8 to 9 months. We anticipate being back to you.
Wow. So that sounds good. I was going to ask one more thing that just went through my head. Oh, would we consider like a airport area special taxing district to pay for those kind of major infrastructure needs?
It is something that could be considered and something we'll be analyzing as part of our phase 2 study. We had those conversations already in terms of Skyplex. So there is possibilities out there for that type of capital stack.
Anybody else?
Why are we doing this now? I mean, it's $150,000 increase in the fee to you guys. Why now?
Well, because
I mean, other than what we've seen so far.
One thing, and this is what we explained to Ben, Mark, and Brian, that depending on what we learn on the South Lands and what might go there, it might change what Skyplex looks like today under our master plan.
How?
There may be less logistics. And less logistics that would be brought to the south, and then therefore open up other opportunities where there's further market demand for Skyplex.
All right, anybody else?
It's just always good to buy land when you don't need it. When
I'm
you-
sorry, Robbie?
It's good to buy land when you don't need it. When you need it, you're just not gonna be able to get it.
That's exactly it. You have the privilege of having,
But we own the land.
We already own the land.
yeah, you have it. It's just what you're doing with it. I think it's time to study it, and to us, it makes sense to study it all together.
Guys,
Anything else?
I mean, I don't understand, do we have any users in your plan right now for phase one? Do we have any prospects for it?
We have a considerable list of interested parties. We're not in a position that we can start discussing and negotiating with them, but in terms of Skyplex, we have a considerable list of very interested users.
Define considerable list. For more than what you have in phase one, more land
No,
in phase one?
no, keep in mind, Skyplex is a 20 to 25-year build-out. We don't have enough interest at this point to show build-out capabilities at this point.
Are some of
That will
the,
come. It will come with synergy. Once you get started, we're going to demonstrate how that synergy builds, particularly with a few catalyst projects.
That's the time to come back to us, I think, with phase two, wouldn't it be?
We don't believe so. We believe that it should be all studied together concurrently, just into the fact that it could change what Skyplex looks like today under our master plan.
so are you saying that the current lands on the north end, there might be a higher demand for other uses?
That's correct.
Okay.
All right, anything?
Gary, you want to add anything?
No, I would just add that you're looking at projects that once a user makes a commitment, it's a 30 to 50-year commitment. To make that logistics move on land that could be and is likely to be much more suited or more in demand for higher values will bring more money in the long run to the Port Authority from the Skyplex, and likely a diversified revenue stream away from the aviation. So the reason to do it now is it never will be cheaper to understand and secure the approvals and the entitlements for down the road than it is now.
Well, just in defense of this project, what's happening on Alico and the south end of the airport almost makes it mandatory that we look at that 1,100 square feet, 1,100 acres, right? To
Sure.
add that into it, and like Gary just said, it's never gonna be cheaper.
And the reason that I step back up is because of Gary's comment about never being cheaper. Part of the proposal that's before your consideration is a significant reduction from what it was in Skyplex, because we're reutilizing a lot of that information. If you do happen to wait and postpone this, that's going to become old data. And it's going to have to be redone in the future, and then therefore you're not going to get it for the same price that you're doing with the same information we have today. Because it'll all have to, that whole market and economic study will have to be recasted based on then current information.
All right, any members have anything else? Take a motion?
Well, you want to we need public comment on this first?
Yeah, anybody got any public comment on this agenda item? Okay, seeing none.
I'll make a motion to approve the item.
I'll second.
All right, any comments from the board? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? Okay, number 22, Brian.
21, right?
Oh, I thought, 21, I'm
Yep.
sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
I even put my glasses on, I read it wrong.
Number 21, we're requesting the board rank proposals submitted for RFP 2402 airport website design. We're looking to refresh our airport website, Fly LCPA. It's been around since 2014. We're looking for a refresh look, if you will. And it's in a website that's much easier for our customers to use and navigate. It's getting old, it's almost 10 years old. So we did an RFP, we put it out in the street in July. In August, we received 3 proposals. And then just last month, September 13th, we had a staff evaluation committee meeting. And we went over those 3 proposals. All 3 met the minimum requirements. One of them clearly rose to the top. It's called Fruition. It's out of Denver. They have some airport website design experience. They're in the country. Another proposal was not. We're recommending that the board, ASMC and the board, rank in order of of the SEC's preference and do not hear oral presentations and go with the top-ranked firm, which is Fruition. It is a highly technical, it would be a highly technical presentation. We're just not recommending presentations, but you certainly can. So that's our recommendation.
Get this started, I would recommend that we follow staff's recommendation. I read through this thoroughly and got out and looked at all the different websites of all of them. And I think staff did a terrific job that Fruition Growth is the right choice.
So is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
All right,
I'll second that.
all right. Discussion? All right, all in favor?
Public comment.
Oh, sorry, we didn't always do that, so I apologize. Public comment on the agenda item number 21. This is why I forget. Nobody ever says anything.
I didn't think, let's clarify this. I didn't think because there was no money involved that we needed to have public discussion of that item. There's no money involved, in terms of the dollar amount.
Ultimately, there will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that'll come back, won't it?
You're making a
Yes.
vote, and prior to any vote, you have to take public comment
On the administrative agenda?
on every part of the agenda.
Yeah, we do consent of one. Yeah, okay. All right, so now we've got that straight. Just do this to me and I'll know you mean public comment. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Again, unanimous. Mr. Hannigan.
Where'd my paper go? Good afternoon, Stephen Hennigan. Number 22, request board approve the negotiated service provider agreement with BMS CAT of Florida and recommends board authorize the executive director to approve and execute contract renewal terms. This is the contract that we went back and negotiated for emergency services, repatriation of bags, emergency call centers, things of that nature. It is a term, first term is 2 years with 4 additional 2-year options.
I move the item. All right,
Second.
all right, discussion? All in favor?
Public comment.
Public comment? Okay, seeing none. All in favor of the item?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? Steve, 23?
All right, 23, request ASMC rank the proposals for the ground transportation management system software solution and authorize staff to negotiate an agreement with the top-ranked firm. In September of 2023, the staff evaluation committee met to review each proposal, solicit staff comments, and prepare recommendations for consideration by the Airport Special Management Committee. The software will be used by LCPA staff to manage the ground transportation system at the airport, which includes driver permitting, ground transportation access controls, driver dispatch, queuing, and trip collection fees. So it's a very robust system. Through that detailed review process that the staff evaluation committee evaluated each proposal, they did that on functionality, compatibility, and cost. Gatekeeper Systems was the #1 ranked company, and their software is currently in use by RSW for ground transportation. So staff recommends that the ASMC rank firms in accordance with the staff evaluation committee scoring, and request the board authorize staff to negotiate an agreement with the top ranked firm, which is Gatekeeper Systems. However, if ASMC prefers to hear the detailed presentations, we can most definitely do that as well.
All right.
I don't think, we need to hear a presentation on it. I move that but we need public comment first, so.
Is that your motion though?
I'm gonna wait till you get public comment, then I'll make a motion.
All right, public comment? He's a real stickler for the rules.
I move the item.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second.
So, Brian, Steve, I meant to ask you, what do we manage in ground transportation management system? Our fleet of,
So right now or in the future? So right now we have, so Gatekeeper as an example, right now gives us insight twofold. One is to what's on the curb at any given time moving on our property. It also provides us with some financial tools that Brian and Dave and team utilize. This other system increases our capabilities through the ability to dispatch, do virtual queues, access control, monitoring, as well as some financial tools and permitting, if I didn't mention that one already. So it's a more robust add-on to our functionality that we currently have.
and this is for managing Uber and taxis and
Yeah.
our parking lot buses and things like that?
It wouldn't be parking lot buses, but it would be the other modes of ground transportation. There's several. It's your off-airport hotels, your parking shuttles, your on-demand, your your limos or your black cars, your buses, like a Dolphin Transportation. Basically anything commercial that comes on property outside of our buses would be managed through this system.
If people have now they have like Uber for rental cars,
Mhm.
are they supposed to be registered to service the airport?
They are through a different contract that we have. So we have visibility at the end of the month into what those vehicles are. But this would give us an option to look at that, but that's under a different type of contract.
Okay. All right.
So, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So you're saying, are they not managed under this, the Ubers?
They're a percentage of, percentage. No, to answer your question, no. So these are more or less the trip fees, the dwell time, things of that nature, access control. Whereas something like, a Turo would be the other one where they pay a percentage of whatever they charge, much like the rental cars.
Just to, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes.
Uber and Lyft, they fall under a different category, if you will, and actually under they actually have a state statute that they fall under, and they're called Transportation Network Companies, TNCs. So they have a different arrangement altogether with airports to do business. So they're managed.
Do they pay us though?
Oh, they pay us.
Yeah.
I think it's $3 per trip.
$3 a
Yeah,
trip.
$3 per trip. But it wouldn't be directly part of this system per se. It could be, but from a monitoring, but they contractually have a different arrangement with us. So.
They have a specific pickup and drop-off place in somewhere from the field. or
They
something like that.
they have a specific pickup
Yes.
area.
So
Right.
just
Oh,
to
yeah.
clarify, the Gatekeeper system we have right now is for our TNCs, and that's what allows us to monitor and verify the trip
Right.
costs, because it's all automated.
Oh, okay.
So from a pickup standpoint, the system we work with those providers, Uber, Lyft, et cetera, to say you can pick up at specific doors. So if you get picked up, it'll say, are you at door 3 or door 5 or wherever that might be. On a drop off, it's just like any other passenger you drop off by your airline.
Is this what most other airports
Yeah.
are using this system?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay.
So how long do we have to allow Uber to come into here?
Do we
Can they
have
just
to
come?
allow? I believe the answer is yeah. As a public airport,
Yeah.
we would have to provide them access to it.
How long
but
have they been coming, do you know?
They've been coming here. I
Probably
don't know
7,
the
8
exact
years.
date.
Oh.
Yeah.
And we haven't had issues since they're out from under this system.
No, I mean, I think to Steve's point, though, Gatekeeper helps us really reconcile because we know when they're coming and there's different things that occur to make a full transaction. So they have to report to us and pay, but we also have the ability with Gatekeeper to figure out whether or not, things are kind of reconciling.
Okay.
So, but they have, they operate under a different contractual arrangement with airports than like our on-demand does and others, so.
All right, any other comments?
I'll move the item.
All right,
Already been moved.
all in
Oh, it's already
favor?
been moved?
Seconded. We're just voting.
Oh, sorry.
Didn't you make the motion?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, passes
Hello?
unanimously.
We did that.
You did the public comment?
I did it before,
Okay.
Noel.
I was just making sure.
Yeah, no, we
Yeah,
got it.
I'm telling you, it's crazy.
Nolan. You got it, you got it.
I wish we could just say, if you have a number of the agenda item of the administrative that you're gonna talk about, and I'd write it down, and when they got to that one, I'd say, okay, but you can't do it. Emily.
Yes, good afternoon. Emily Underhill for the record. Item 24 is seeking approval to accept an FDOT fiscal year 23-24 grant to be used for eligible costs under the RSW Air Traffic Control Tower project that was recently completed. This money supplements prior grants that were previously received, bringing the total to date of over $28 million. Staff recommends approval accepting this grant in the amount of $2,435,165.
All right,
Do we make motion
Yeah.
first, or do we have
Public,
public comment?
public comment.
You can make a motion first and then ask for public comment.
Okay, well, I never leave money on the table. I say yes on this, I approve.
Yeah, far be
All
it
right.
for me to.
Second.
second, okay. Public comment? Okey doke. Now, Emily, are we just about finished paying for the tower?
No, we're going to be getting 2 more installments from FDOT.
But we're about there, aren't we?
We're getting close.
Very good.
Just a few more million.
And it's operational now, right?
Yes, August
Like 2
20th
months?
was a
Yeah.
cutover date.
Yeah, all right, good. Good job, guys. Beautiful. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Get us some more money, Emily.
All right, item number 25 is seeking approval to accept an FAA grant to be used for eligible costs under the Pagefield South Quadrant ramp project that is currently under construction. Staff recommends approval accepting this grant in the amount of $4,210,642.
All right,
I'll move the item.
I'll second that.
all right, public comment. See how good I'm getting? All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Pass unanimously.
All right, item number 26. The Port Authority's Mitigation Park property provides mitigation lands to offset wetland and listed species habitat impacts that are resulted from the original construction of the Midfield Terminal Complex. The entire Mitigation Park property totals 7,000 acres and is located approximately 5 miles southeast of RSW, stretching from State Route 82 all the way south to Corkscrew. Mitigation Park is the headwaters of the Corkscrew Regional Ecosystem Watershed, or CREW, and contains the largest freshwater marsh in Lee County. In addition, it is a critical flowway and groundwater recharge area. It is an environmental asset to all of Lee County. The Port Authority is required to perform land management activities at Mitigation Park according to the terms of the special conditions described in various permits. One of the required land management activities includes exotic nuisance vegetation species control, as well as maintenance of the property's perimeter fence in perpetuity. To perform this work for the upcoming fiscal year, the Port Authority's construction manager, general contractor, Owen Ames Kimball, has competitively bid all work to provide the needed fence repairs, trail maintenance, as well as treatment of exotic and nuisance species within the Imperial Marsh South and north areas, as well as in Site H. Staff asks that the Special Management Committee endorse the contract amendment in the amount of $2,240,342 to conduct fence trail maintenance and initial and follow-up treatment of exotic and nuisance species within the Airport Mitigation Park. And secondly, approve a total project budget in the amount of $2,943,233.59.
All right.
Well, that just takes my breath away. I mean, I'm in the wrong business, but that's okay, because we don't need exotics and invasives here. But I was asking Ben, and if you can answer me, Emily, do they also look at, like, do they find pythons out there? Do they find tagus out there? And do they remove those?
Yeah, we haven't found any of those species. We
haven't?
have done cooperative agreements with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and Florida Wildlife Commission in the past. They've done population studies for the bear and the panther, and we haven't received any documentation to show that those species exist. But I mean, we haven't gone out to look for them, but we haven't heard of any at this time.
If you need
that's
somebody to
good.
look for them, just call Robbie.
We'll keep that in mind.
Well, you know, we just don't want them up here. I think, Scott, don't you have them down around your airport?
Only one. Yeah.
So they
One?
say.
Were you looking for something to
One
do, Robbie?
No,
That's
but
what she
they're
does.
just bad,
I know,
bad
I know.
news. And those, I was telling Ben about the tagus, those things are even worse, and they're gonna come even more.
What is that?
They're called tagus. They look like little dinosaurs. They're huge lizards out there. And so under the state approval, we got approved to catch those as well. You can't catch them. They're too darn fast. You gotta set up,
Poison?
traps for those things.
Oh.
But they're all in the Everglades, and as the food supply diminishes,
They're coming here.
Could you
Coming on up.
describe the fence? Is the fence gonna be, friendly to wildlife in terms of crossing?
Well, there's certain wildlife we try to keep out, like the cattle that grazes around. We try to keep them out of the park because they can do damage, as well as the boars, or hogs, I should say.
Will there be any tunnels, for wildlife to go under, the migrating, like the panther and the deer and so forth?
I'll have to ask Alicia that question. I'm sorry. They jump over? They go under it, she said.
Well, I don't want it to be a barrier to, movement of the wildlife through that area.
Yeah. Alicia, do you want to handle that question? I'm sorry. Yeah,
Barbed wire.
it's a barbed wire fence.
How tall?
You wanna come on?
I mean, the main purpose is try to keep trespassers out, right? Yeah. I mean, I think wildlife can still pass through it if they're careful, but it's really meant to keep people out.
And what is the length of this fence?
Well, it's a good question. I have that here. The length of the perimeter fence is 16 miles.
16 miles.
Mhm.
So this could be a very formidable barrier too.
The fence is already there. It's needed in repair.
You just
Mhm.
upgrading the fence.
Yes, there's a major section that's being repaired.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right.
All right. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion.
I'll second. Public comment? All right. Where do we pay for this from? Is our own money we have to pay them?
Yes, we pay for it, right, Brian? Mhm. Mhm. Operating costs,
No grants?
no grants.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor? Public.
Aye.
You did it,
I
He
asked
called
them
for it.
first, as soon as you made a motion. Yep. Okay, I'm sorry, take the vote again. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Item 27 is related to the previous item. Under this contract amendment, Stantec will work cooperatively with the construction manager general contractor to determine that the environmental elements of the fence trail maintenance and initial and follow-up treatment of exotic and nuisance species are completed successfully and pursuant to the contract documents. During and after the fence trail maintenance and initial and follow-up treatment of exotic and nuisance species being conducted by the CMGC, The environmental consultant will conduct field inspections to verify the extent of the maintenance and treatment areas, identify any treatments that are not being, that are not meeting technical specifications, and verify when the treatments are successfully completed. This task ensures maintenance treatment is conducted in compliance with the bid documents and required permit conditions, as well as extends the overall contract term to coincide with the anticipated work. Staff asks that the Special Management Committee endorse the contract amendment in the amount of $340,161, which provides for the technical oversight of land management activities.
All right. Have a motion?
I'll move the item. I'll second it.
Okay. Now, public comment? All right. Emily, on this $340,161, it says to conduct oversight of fence trail maintenance and initial follow-up treatment of exotic and nuisance species. Are they getting paid $340,000 just to identify the problems? Who fixes the fence when they find
No,
it?
they're following behind the contractor to make sure the contractor is doing the work in accordance with the contract
Sort of
documents.
like our construction manager?
Correct,
if you-
correct. But, they have technical knowledge of those species and what's working, if the herbicide that they're using is being effective or not effective. They're basically making sure that we maintain permit
So
compliance.
the companion to this, the agenda item number 26, is that $3 million got the money in it to fix the fences and things like that?
Yes, yes. I mean, they're supposed to do all the work for that price. And so the technical oversight ensures that they're doing all the work for that price.
Very good. Okay. Any other comments from the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. You're still up, Emily.
Okay. Item 28. Based on current assessments of RSW's single runway pavement reported by the Port Authority and the Florida Department of Transportation, it is recommended that runway 624 be rehabilitated in the next several years. Runway 624 was last rehabilitated in the years 2006 through 2007. At the January 2023 board meeting, the board endorsed the selection of Kimley Horn as the engineer of record to perform design-related services to support these improvements. Since that time, staff has negotiated a professional services contract with the firm. Based on our prior project experience, which taught us that the rehab of the runway requires extensive coordination with the FAA and many other parties, staff has begun this early FAA coordination. We held a meeting in late August of this year, and through that coordination, the FAA suggested that a project formulation white paper document be prepared with the intention of securing endorsements from the FAA for a preferred operational rehabilitation approach for the rehab project. It is anticipated that the FAA's Airports District Office, located in Orlando, will utilize the white paper to coordinate with other FAA lines of businesses, obtaining the necessary concurrence of the project approach. Per the FAA, the analysis at this time will involve further focus of two separate alternatives that were previously identified during the previous runway rehabilitation analysis. The first being using taxiway A as a temporary runway, which is our preferred approach, and second, runway 624 reduced length and nighttime closures. Staff recommends that the Airport Special Management Committee authorize a professional services agreement with Kimley Horn, who is the selected consultant for this project, and second, approve the first task under this contract that provides the technical services to create the project formulation document in the amount of $326,409. $326,409.
All right. I have a motion.
So moved.
A second.
All right. Public comment? Board comment?
What are our plans for the second parallel runway?
It's
Timing
not
wise.
until like 2040, 41.
Okay.
Bigger airplanes and less traffic. That's what we're getting. I wanted to ask you, this is a term of 5 years. At the end of that 5 years, is that anticipating that rehabilitation of the runway being completed?
Probably not. I mean, it's going to take us a couple years to do this kind of conceptual design effort and then the full design effort and then probably 2+ years to build it. So there is a chance that it'll have to go a little bit beyond the 5 years.
And what kind of budget would it take to rehabilitate the runway?
Well, last time it was 29 million. So right now we're thinking somewhere between 45 and 50 million. That's, but we don't know the true scope of the project at this point. And that's
Right.
what the purpose of this task is going to be, to really define what the scope of work is.
So you don't anticipate starting that for 4 to 5 years?
We're hoping that we can be under construction by 2027.
Okay. All right, any further comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 29.
Item number 29, in May of 2022, the board selected the team of Suffolk Wright Construction Group as the firm to construct and manage the RSW Concourse E project, which is currently under design. The scope of the project includes a new 14-gate Concourse E facility, associated terminal and roadway expansions, and apron and taxiway improvements to provide added capacity to the RSW terminal through 2036. As you know, the project will be the largest project ever undertaken by the Port Authority and will involve complex phasing and construction sequencing. Previously, the board approved a contract amendment with Suffolk to provide pre-construction services to assist the design team up through a 75% design milestone. As this milestone is quickly approaching, there is now the need to continue these pre-construction services to support the balance of the design phase ahead of the targeted construction procurement of the project, which is anticipated to be as early as February of 2024. Subsequent tasks will be brought to you at a later date that will provide for pre-construction services during bid procurement activities for the various project components. However, at this time, the continued involvement of the CM firm during the further development and finalization of the design is critical to the project's success. So we ask the committee today to accept staff's recommendation to approve this contract and the related pre-construction services task in the amount of $616,271.
Good. Do I have a motion?
I'll move the item.
A second.
All right, public comment? Board responses?
Remind me, how many gates do we pick up with Concourse Echo?
14.
14 in Echo?
14 Concourse E.
And when do we, I know you've told me, but when do we anticipate that concourse being fully operational?
2027.
So that's not too long. Okay, any other comments? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 30.
Item number 30, the need for a new public safety building at RSW to house various airport police department and emergency operations was previously identified. As a result, the board selected a consultant and in June of this year endorsed a design task to initiate the design. While the design was initiated, staff advertised a request of letters of qualifications to select a CMGC firm that will ultimately oversee and manage the construction of the project. As a result of this solicitation, 6 valid proposals were received. In order to assist you in your evaluation, Port Authority staff held a public meeting to review the submitted responses, and proposal summaries are included in your backup. Staff also scored the proposals from best to least based on criteria including current workload, as well as the project experiences of the proposed project manager and their respective firm. As a result, staff recommends that the committee shortlist the firms as scored by staff and hear oral presentations by the 3 top firms at a future meeting before presenting a recommended ranking to the board. Those 3 firms are DeAngelis Diamond Construction, Stevens Construction, and Half Acre Construction. If in agreement, I would ask Melissa to come forward and randomly select the order of presentations. Otherwise, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, first off, any public comment on that? Okay, any objections from the board for ranking them?
No.
All right. Pull in the ticket.
Hi, Chairman. Requesting that you select the order.
Robbie
Or
does his
designee
best.
to select the order of presentations at our next publicly noticed meeting, please. Got it?
Do you want to read it?
Sure.
Okay.
So the first to present will be Half Acre Construction Company. Thank you. And the next to present is going to be Stevens Construction.
I can tell you that one.
Can you tell us that one?
DeAngelis Diamond.
That's right. And finally, DeAngelis Diamond Construction will be the last to present. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. All right. All in favor of those rankings? Opposed? All right. We're gonna hear presentations now, aren't we?
Yes.
I wanna take 5 minutes.
Okay. You want me to read the item first, or you want me to wait?
Why don't we just wait?
Okay.
Be right back.
Okay.
Yeah. It's why they're going.
Get the act together.
The new one, yeah, no, the
Oh,
new one.
yeah.
Yeah. They're gonna build on
It
his
is
land.
embarrassing.
Yeah.
Non-functional.
Emily, we're gonna go back to 30 for a second.
Oh, okay.
They already tried. They didn't catch who made the motion on 30. We're gonna redo that vote.
I'll move the item.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any public comment? All right. Any board comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. All right, 31. There you go, Emily.
All right, the last item, item 31. This past August, the Special Management Committee shortlisted 3 planning environmental firms for further consideration to provide planning and environmental services for a variety of projects under a continuing contract arrangement. The firms you recommend for selection today will be 2 firms that will enter into a 3-year contract with the Port Authority. To give you a scale of this contract, to date, the 2 firms currently holding this contract have secured approximately $6.3 million through the course of completing 193 tasks. 3 firms are here today to present their resume and qualifications for your consideration. Those 3 firms in alphabetical order are Johnson Engineering, Stantec Consulting Services, and Passarella and Associates. So if there aren't any questions, I'll turn it over to Melissa to begin the presentations.
All right. Go ahead.
Emily. Good afternoon, Melissa Wendell, Senior Procurement Manager for Lee County Port Authority. As Emily Underhill stated, at this time we'll hear presentations from 3 proposers who have prepared a proposal to the Port Authority in response to LOQ 2364, General Planning and Environmental Services for Lee County Port Authority. As usual, each proposer will have 10 minutes for their presentation, followed by unlimited time to engage with the Airport Special Management Committee for questions. Once all questions are addressed, the proposer will conclude with a 1-minute summary. So at this time, I would like to introduce the first proposer, Passarella and Associates. Ken Passarella, President.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Ken Passarella. I'm President and Principal Ecologist with Passarella and Associates, and I appreciate the opportunity this afternoon to present to the board here today on this General Planning and Environmental Services contract. About us, Passarella and Associates, we were founded in 1996 here in Fort Myers, Florida. We have grown to a staff of 38 dedicated ecologists, biologists, AutoCAD, GIS folks, as well as admin professionals. We take great pride in our Lee County roots. We currently employ several FGCU graduates, Florida Southwestern State College graduates. We actually have a lot of local homegrown talent here, people who come up, growing up in Lee County and Collier County that work for us. We're proud about investing in the talent locally here in Southwest Florida to give these kids who are coming up an opportunity to have a professional career here in Southwest Florida. We're a full-service environmental consulting firm with over 150 years of combined experience in Southwest Florida. Nobody else in Southwest Florida has as much environmental consulting experience as we do. We are the largest environmental consulting firm and the most experienced consulting firm here in Southwest Florida. We've held 3 consecutive general planning and environmental services contracts with the Port Authority previously from 2011 through 2021. So we know the process, we know how to work with the airport and have done it before and have experience in doing that. Our staff is a variety of professional experience. We have certified senior ecologists certified by the Ecological Society of America. We have certified senior professional wetland scientists. We have other professional wetland scientists, all certified by the Society of Wetland Scientists. We have an FAA qualified airport wildlife biologist currently in mentorship. By the end of the month, they will be a qualified airport wildlife biologist. We have U.S. Army Corps of Engineers certified wetland delineators. We have people that are approved as Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission gopher tortoise, authorized gopher tortoise agents as well as burrowing owl agents. And we have a variety of people, the various experience throughout our staff. Our services, we do it all. We do everything related to environmental, wetlands, and listed species. So we do everything from doing the surveys in the field, going out there, looking for the endangered species, that sort of thing, mapping wetlands, flagging wetlands, all the way through taking you through the process of getting your permits and filing permit applications with the agencies, negotiating with the agencies, helping identify mitigation for any mitigation that's required, and helping with the contract and purchasing of mitigation credits if that's needed. So we do everything related to that respect. Where are we located? Well, we're located on Daniels Road. We're literally minutes from the airport here as well as Page Field. Well, that's this time of year, but during the season it may take a little longer to get here. But we're literally right down the road from the airport. Our project team, I will be the project manager on this project. I have over 38 years, oh, that can't be correct. I'm getting way too old. I have 38 years of environmental consulting. I have degrees in marine science, a master's and a bachelor's. I'm certified through the Society of Wetland Sciences, senior professional wetland scientist, and I'm also a senior ecologist from the Ecological Society of America. And I've worked on numerous airport projects over my career in Southwest Florida. We have a couple of key people I wanted to point out that'll be involved in our team. One is Jacob Tamanoshian. Jacob's a local Fort Myers boy, grew up here, went to Edison Park, Fort Myers High. He now works with us, and he has a project team that he leads. He has ecologists on his team, as well as admin professional and design professionals at CAD and GIS that can get works done. So he'll be helping me with this, and his team will be helping me. Dan Kavanaugh is another key person. He's currently getting qualified as the airport wildlife biologist and would help us with those aspects of any tasks that are related to that. Our relationship with the Port Authority, working under the general planning and environmental services contracts previously, we had 10 years of working under that contract. We worked on over 200 tasks that were assigned to us over those years. And we also had significant DBE and WMBE of participation, anywhere from 12% to 93% of the task costs associated with our task. We were able to utilize DBEs in that capacity. Representative projects. Some of the representative projects that we've worked on included the parallel runway. I heard that mentioned earlier. We did all the environmental permitting, all the environmental field work, and everything associated with the parallel runway here, and we're proud that we successfully were able to obtain all the environmental permits for that. We also helped y'all negotiate for all the mitigation associated with those permits that were required for the wetlands and listed species impacts associated with that. We also worked on the air traffic control tower. That was another project that we helped with doing the field work and the permitting associated with that, as well as the ARF facility. That was another project that we did all the environmental field work and environmental permitting associated with that project. We also did miscellaneous other type projects here at the airport. One was related to the Hazardous Wildlife Assistance Program. This is where predator bird services was brought in to help take care of the bird issues and the hazardous wildlife issues around the runway. So that was a task that we were assigned under the General Planning Services task. In summary, I just wanted to let you all know that we're locally owned and operated business in Lee County since 1996. We're very proud of that. We're located minutes from both Page Field and Southwest Florida International Airport. I'll be the designated project manager on this project. We have more environmental experience in Southwest Florida than any other firm in this area. We have a qualified airport biologist in mentorship right now. We always look for opportunities to utilize DBEs and WMBs as part of our project team. We have extensive airport-related experience, both locally here at the airport here, as well as other airports in Southwest Florida. And we have a proven track record that we had worked on previous general planning environmental services contract for the Port Authority. So with that, any questions?
Okay, board?
Will you be looking at any of the environmental impacts that might occur from this 16-mile fence we talked about earlier?
I can address that, having familiarity with the airport mitigation park. And the best way to describe the fence that's out there now, it's a cattle fence. It's what you would see if you were driving along the road and you see a pasture area and you see the typical Southwest Florida cattle fence. It's 3-string barbed wire. It's about 4 feet high post. And what it does, it keeps the cattle out, but it allows for wildlife to move through it. So a panther could easily jump that fence. It's not going to restrict panther movement. A black bear would just simply just squash the fence and go over the top of it. So wildlife from that perspective, it's not going to restrict wildlife. The smaller wildlife, like Alicia mentioned, will simply just go under the fence. But the big thing is it's a deterrent for people from trespassing, so they know that that's not their property and that's not going to be. And I think there's signs as well included with those posting along those fences. So if you're, a typical cattle ranch fence that you see around. So the big thing, it keeps the cattle out and lets trespassers know they shouldn't be in there. So
The other question I have is we're going to be doing a lot of work in the future in the Skyplex project, and today we voted to do further study on additional 1,100 acres. And I know associated with those properties, there are wetland issues. Are you familiar with the process for using mitigation banks to offset the impacts we have to wetlands?
yes, and in fact, we're helping and assisting with identifying where the wetlands are as part of the Skyplex project. We've assisted Don and his team, and work that was previously performed here out at the airport that we did under one of these previous contracts. We were able to provide that information to them that we have. We have updated that information, so we've been assisting them with that. We've also identified preliminary mitigation cost. We looked at the type of wetlands that are being impacted, the value of those wetlands, and what the mitigation costs may be associated with that, so Don and them can plug those in to their pro forma when they're looking at these numbers. So the other thing we do is identify where they could go for mitigation. And we did this a few years ago for the Port Authority, where we looked at all the opportunities where you may be able to do wetland mitigation. And these are big numbers. You're looking at spending a lot of money to pay for all this mitigation. So we had looked at ways to acquire land, stuff like that, and mitigate on them. And what we came up with at the time was, and what y'all agreed to, was to purchase mitigation credits from mitigation banks. Those mitigation banks are starting to be bought out. There's not a lot of credits left, so there's going to be this identifying for the future where you're going to purchase these credits from. And that may be looking at, other opportunities there for doing that.
Well, that was my concern. The reason I raised that question is because I know the mitigation banks that serve the area are almost all bought up.
Correct.
So how is that going to impact us in terms of our future wetland mitigation?
Well, where there's a need, you usually find somebody to fill it. So if there is, somebody knows that there's going to be this mitigation need in the future for projects at the airport, there's a lot of entrepreneurial people out there that'll find a way to fill that need. So there are opportunities for mitigation banks to be developed. There is land available out there that fits the criteria for doing mitigation banking on. It's just a matter if somebody decides that there's a need for it, then they will pursue those opportunities to do that.
Do you know of any mitigation banks in the area that are in the planning process? Because the approval process takes several years.
That's
From
correct.
start to finish to
That's correct.
actually be a mitigation bank.
Yeah.
So are there projects in progress right now that?
There are projects being looked at. It's a matter of whether they're within the basin for the airport, because the way the agencies look at mitigation is you have to mitigate within your own basin. And so the airport falls within a basin here in Lee County. It depends on where that basin boundary falls and whether any of these future projects are going to be within the same basin. You can go outside the basin, but that requires an additional level of analysis and permitting with the agencies, but that's doable as well.
Are we in the Big Cypress mitigation or basin itself?
No.
We're outside of that.
Yes.
So that further south,
Yeah,
Big Cypress.
yeah, we're in a Estero basin here. We're right along the basin divide, and I believe we're in the Estero basin here.
That was the line was. Thank you so much.
Any other comments, questions?
Good question.
All right. I think you got a minute to sum up, isn't that right?
Okay. Again, to sum up, locally owned and operated business. We're located minutes from Page Field and the Southwest Florida International Airport. We have extensive experience. Nobody else has more experience in environmental permitting in this area than we do. We'll maximize our participation from DBs and WMBs. We'll provide our services with the highest level of coordination and professionalism. And we have a proven track record of working with the Port Authority on projects like this. So thank you and appreciate the opportunity today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good job.
But Ken, are you a licensed realtor?
A licensed realtor?
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Well, I mean, because most of them have their high school picture on their business.
At least I have my college.
Thank you.
Isn't that the truth, though?
That's why you sit with us.
Okay, our second proposer today is Stantec Consulting Services, and I'd like to introduce Josh Philpott, principal.
Thank you.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Josh Philpott. I'm a principal with Stantec, specializing in airport planning. I currently serve as the project manager for this contract after being selected for the current contract in 2020. I look forward to the opportunity to continue to partner with LCPA moving forward. Stantec has operated in Lee County for over 53 years. Prior to being acquired by Stantec in 2010, Wilson Miller operated in Lee County since 1970. In 2022, Stantec completed the acquisition of Cardno, a full-service engineering and environmental services firm, which further expanded Stantec's presence in the region. Our multidisciplinary firm includes experts in airport planning, environmental remediation, ecosystem restoration, and we have completed projects at over 200 airports and are consistently ranked among the top engineering firms by Engineering News Record. This slide highlights the project team involved with a variety of tasks as part of the current contract. I am a certified planner with over 21 years of planning experience in Southwest Florida. I started my career with Lee County Community Development, then served as the manager of planning for the Lee County Port Authority for 4 years prior to joining Stantec in 2014. In addition to leading land use planning efforts, I work on airport planning projects all over the country. Some of our team is here today. Chris Brockmeyer, with over 35 years of engineering experience. Chris leads Chris is a senior planner, senior principal and regional leader for Stantec in Southwest Florida and will serve as the principal in charge. Christy Coleman has over 25 years of experience in environmental remediation. She has managed remediation projects for several large companies who operate fueling facilities across North America and has led the remediation tasks under this contract. Sharon Yu has a PhD in ecology from the University of Miami, and she specializes in large-scale habitat restoration and land management strategy projects. She has completed a number of projects for Florida Power and Light and South Florida Water Management District to ensure projects remain in compliance with the permit requirements. Craig Schmittler, who is not here today, is an ecologist with over 39 years of experience in Southwest Florida. Craig is a state licensed applicator and leads our team of field ecologists on the Mitigation Park exotic treatment and oversight tasks. We have several other staff that are not shown that have a long history of working on the projects at Page Field and RSW, including the new terminal projects, roadway network, parking garages, rental car and fueling facilities. And we also have other staff available to support this contract, including FAA certified wildlife biologists. So why the Stantec team? Most of our team has over 20 years of experience in the industry, with several over 30. With the projects leaders being located in Southwest Florida, our team is able to respond quickly should urgent issues arise. Our relationships with the various agencies and understanding of their processes allow us to better assist our clients in navigating the complex and ever-evolving regulatory process. With my previous experience working with LCPA, I understand the process of how things are done and the driving forces behind many decisions. And although most of the tasks issued under this contract are relatively small in nature, their importance to the function of the airport is not. We have the flexibility to support both long-term strategy and short-term implementation tasks. I'd like to highlight a couple of projects we have completed as part of our current contract. The first is the former hydrant fueling remediation facility. This has been an active remediation project for 17 years as a result of a leak in the fueling facility at the former terminal. Our team managed the development of the plans and specifications for the excavation, dewatering, construction safety phasing, and the design of the 16-inch concrete replacement for the $3.2 million airside excavation project. The project is wrapping up and transitioning to the monitoring phase with the hopes of obtaining a no further action determination from DEP in the near future. The second is the Mitigation Park Land Management Strategy. Working with LCPA staff, we developed a new multi-year land management strategy to eliminate the threat of non-compliance from South Florida Water Management District. We prepared cost estimates, technical specifications, project manuals, and bid packages. Our staff of state certified applicators oversaw the treatment of exotic plants and mechanical reduction efforts and the fence repairs for not only Mitigation Park, but the on-site preserves as well. The third project is the ARF PFAS remediation project. PFAS is a newly identified forever chemical by the federal agencies and must be handled and disposed of in accordance with the new and evolving regulations. Our staff worked to sample and prepare the technical specifications for remediation of PFAS at the ARF facility in advance of the annual inspection by FAA. Remediation, the rental car fire remediation. Remediation of a small area following the 2020 rental car fire. Although the excavation project was small, the process was not. We received no further action determination from FDEP on September 28th, meaning the remediation is complete and the file is closed. Here we want to highlight 3 areas of expertise where that really apply to this contract. Under the current contract and under 3 years, we have been able to work with LCPA staff and the permitting agencies to develop a comprehensive land management strategy for the 7,000-acre mitigation park that takes a proactive step in elimination of exotics in the park to help advance the goal of complete compliance with approved permits. Our, our ecosystem restoration team consists of a senior level staff, including a PhD, focused on exotic vegetation and treatments, leading this project. All of our oversight inspectors are licensed applicators with the state of Florida, something most other firms do not have, and extensive experience in land management restoration projects from similar work at numerous mitigation banks helps us serve our clients better. From an environmental remediation perspective, being a large-scale transportation facility that handles increasing amounts of fuels and chemicals, environmental remediation is always going to be an important element of operating the airport. Our team includes several staff with considerable experience in the planning, permitting, and implementation of remediation activities. Not only can we design treatment programs, we can also do the remediation activities when necessary. Our team has been involved in many remediation activities over the course of this current contract, and staff has been pleased with our work to date and have asked us to oversee more of the projects moving forward. And by selecting Stantec to continue as one of the 2 planning and environmental compliance consultants, you're allowing us to continue to deliver on that promise moving forward. While at LCPA, I oversaw a number of projects, including airspace analysis, airport compatibility, the 2011 noise study, and various other projects at both Pagefield and RSW. Since joining Stantec, I've worked on several airport projects across the region and the country. I am supported by a team of over 250 airport planning and engineering professionals. And as part of this contract, our team has managed numerous airport planning tasks at both Pagefield and RSW, including the airspace analysis and obstruction removal projects, NEPA documentations, the 20-year stormwater analysis, and participation on the hazardous wildlife working group. With the support of a well-rounded team of experts, we are capable of handling the scope of work issued under this contract. And although capable to manage most of the tasks within Stantec, we understand the importance of partnering with other firms, especially minority and women-owned businesses. And as part of the work conducted under the current contract, we have worked with a number of sub-consultants, many of which are shown here. Some of the work completed under this contract is highly specialized, and there are limited DBE funds available. Whenever possible, we encourage firms to connect with LCPA to go through the DBE certification process, to be able to expand the number of DBE firms in the field, not only for this contract, but other government contracts as well. And thank you for giving us the time to present today, and we are happy to stay and answering questions from the board or public comment.
All right. Questions? John?
On the slide where you're showing your DBE and partnerships, the sub-consult, I am not familiar with, well, I am with 1 or 2 of them, but how many of these subcontractors that you've used under the current contract are local? Are they local contractors, subcontractors?
RMEC,
I'm sorry, can we just have just one moment to deal with these
What?
technical difficulties?
The microphone died.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Sorry, Josh.
Could you start over?
Listen, I didn't want to stop when the microphone went off because of all the things that we were talking about.
The question was the
Yes, sir.
local.
Yes, sir. So this isn't a complete list. Of this list here, there's a couple of firms there that have not only local firms, but also local offices. So RMEC is absolutely a local firm. ESA has some local staff, as well as Predator Bird Services. Predator Bird Services being the wildlife management that works with both at Pagefield and RSW. In addition to that, we also, Passarella and Associates worked with us on this, under this contract on a couple of tasks. And GFA, Geotech, a local geotech service firm. So this is not not a complete list, but.
All right. My curiosity was sparked by you mentioned you do or did generated 62,000 in fees for these firms, or maybe others, but these firms. But there was, according to the staff, there was approximately, I can't find it now, but I think it was like 3 million between yourself and the other contractor.
So I have that number in the previous
So-
slide. Sorry.
So do you have an idea how much of the 3 million you're generating through subcontractors?
So our total contract value, as I checked, coming in was 2.64, I believe, of which 600 and some were subcontractors. Of that, 62,000 in DBE.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have.
Go ahead. No?
What environmental challenges do you foresee that the Port Authority is going to have to deal with here during the term of this contract?
Oh, there's several that we're continuing to work with, and they're pursuing, and they're pretty diligent on. I think some of the biggest challenges that we see moving forward are some of the remediation projects. So there are a couple of fueling facilities on the site that need some attention and need some work, and we're working through those. The QTA facility being one of them. There's a couple of remediation projects there. As far as Mitigation Park is going to be a focus for the next few years, catching up on some treatments and implementing this land management strategy over the next couple of years. We got 1 year in, and it's been a great success and a new approach to dealing with Mitigation Park. So continuing that and kind of getting ahead of the treatment and the exotic treatment there. Growing Skyplex is going to be an environmental concern. I don't know that I'll necessarily be under this contract. It may be under another one. And as new development comes along, as new projects get started, some of the NEPA documentation moving forward is going to be something that is going to be necessary. So we're working right now with ESA on the fuel farm expansion as well. So,
yeah. Do you have experience working with the local mitigation banks on mitigating and purchasing credits to mitigate wetlands?
absolutely. So actually, again on the slide, our ecosystem restoration slide, we are consultants for Corkscrew Regional Bank and Panther Island, as well as Panther Passage. So very familiar with those processes, those mitigation banks. And yeah, it's going to be an issue moving forward unless another mitigation bank opens. And I know there's been discussions, but and this isn't just for the airport. I think it's an issue for the community as well.
What kind of wetlands do we have to deal with here at the airport? Are they freshwater?
We're in the process of going through the jurisdictional determination right now. I think actually. As part of the Skyplex project, they've been submitted, the final termination of that. So as they move forward, they're going to have to deal with the mitigation of those. As far as the flux codes and which category, I would have to defer to our ecosystem. I'm a planner. I'm a little bit, I defer to our environmental team.
So that say they would be available here locally as well?
Meaning, I'm sorry, the
Folks that you just mentioned?
Oh, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. They're involved in Skyplex with me. So,
Okay, thank you very much.
yeah, absolutely.
All right, any other questions? Got a minute. Wrap
Oh.
it.
So why the Stantec team? Stantec is uniquely qualified for this project. We are a local team supported by an extensive network of professionals. We specialize in the exact disciplines needed to support the scope of work issued under this contract. 99 tasks in 2.5 years is no small feat and requires a deep bench of staff to support the number of diverse projects. We are able to handle most of the projects in-house, limiting the need for pass-through fees and delays associated with subconsultants and contractual agreements. But we also understand the importance of teaming with the right subconsultants to deliver the best team to serve the client. With my past experience at LCPA, I understand the primary factors in decision-making process, which allows us to be more than just task-based consultants and function more as an extension of staff. We have a proven track record of successful projects and have developed long-term management plans to get projects on track to ensure compliance with permitting criteria now and into the future. We look forward to the opportunity to continue to build on the success and seeing the future, the vision to implementation.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Way up north, Edmonton's way up. So they've all been bought by, agglomerated by.
Okay, our third and final proposer today is Johnson Engineering Incorporated, and I would like to introduce you to Laura DeJohn, who is the Director of Planning and Landscape Architecture.
Where's my clicker? Good afternoon. It's great to be here this afternoon, and I know it's been a long day, so we'll make this quick and be glad to answer any questions you have. I'm Laura DeJohn, Planning Market Leader for Johnson Engineering, and your project manager for this general planning and environmental contract. Also with me today are Laura Herrero and Gary Nychek from our environmental group. I will be introducing our firm and our capabilities and highlight my role as project manager in our planning services. Then I'll turn it over to Laura Herrero, who will highlight our environmental qualifications. During the 10 minutes we have together, I will highlight the reasons why Johnson Engineering is uniquely qualified for the role of your planning and environmental services consultant. I think most of you know that Johnson Engineering is located right here in Fort Myers with our headquarters. We have 120 employees and growing. We're close to RSW, just down the street from Pagefield, and in walking distance to the permitting agencies that we deal with regularly. Having a full range of services, local and in-house, sets us apart from other firms. We'll focus today on our strengths in the planning and environmental fields, but it's important to note that JEI's range of professional capabilities right here in Lee County is very valuable to the Lee County Port Authority's needs that sometimes can arise on a moment's notice. On-call services like this require many hands on deck to keep up with those short turnaround tasks and long-term tasks. The key personnel listed here are backed up by many planners, qualified airport biologists, technicians, and scientists who all help accomplish any assigned task. As project manager, I aim to work proactively with your staff to stay ahead of deadlines and keep projects on budget. I'm the main point of contact. I bring over 24 years of experience locally. I have 9 years serving the Port Authority in this capacity as project manager of the General Planning and Environmental Services. Laura Herrero is one of JEI's 2 qualified airport wildlife biologists. Her experience dates to the permitting of Project Millennium here at RSW. You'll hear more from her shortly. Here's an overview that shows in very small print how our firm has a long track record of completing projects at your facilities. We also have experience at many other airports and have assisted with projects ranging from taxiways to environmental assessments. Here's an overview of my track record. As I get older, this gets harder to read too. I've been managing and performing services for RSW and Pagefield for many years. And between this on-airport experience and other local planning experience in our region, I have a well-rounded understanding and relationships needed in the regulatory landscape to help get projects done. Meeting your goals is exactly what drives our work. We know the high standards we need to uphold to keep your airports operating at award-winning levels. We know the sensitivities and protocols of working on airport property. And by anticipating and solving issues before they arise, we are always working to save time, to save money, and most of all, to save headaches. This type of on-call contract works best when we operate like an extension of your staff. For most tasks, we assemble a team that's best suited to the expectations and able to deliver. For projects that need specialized subconsultants, I work with them in a seamless manner and engage disadvantaged businesses in line with all the goals the Port Authority has. Proof of our strength in this arena is the RSW Master Plan update that I helped lead. You've seen this evolve over the past 2 years. You've seen presentations on it, and it's now at FAA's office for final approval. Why is a master plan important? It's not only your roadmap for the future, but the projects in the master plan have to be there in order to win those funding opportunities that you had, some of which today, one of those grant dollars from FAA. The master plan is a data-driven picture of the projects needed and the timing and budget of those projects so that all your facilities are going to be on pace with upcoming passenger demands and operational activity levels looking out over a 20-year period. Pagefield has some very different conditions than RSW, but it is equally growing and experiencing record-breaking growth. Demand for hangars keeps escalating and permitting keeps getting more complicated. We helped expedite the South Quad hangar project here. Earlier this year, we navigated the zoning process, we got the environmental analysis done, and now 81 new hangars are coming out of the ground, and we have a zoning action underway to allow 70 more hangars in the future. With this level of growth and activity at Pagefield that's been ongoing, a master plan update may be warranted in the next few years, and we'd be very efficient at applying the lessons learned on the RSW master plan to any future needs at FMY. RSW and FMY together have economic impacts approaching $9 billion annually, and the trends at these facilities show consistent growth. We're your partner looking ahead to leverage these airports as the very vital resources they are for our region. We enjoy the working relationships we have with your exceptional staff on these planning services I've described, and now you'll hear more about the environmental services we have with Laura Herrero.
Thank you, Laura. The environmental services we offer, that ultimately support the growth that Laura was just talking about can vary greatly in duration and complexity on how complex they are. Sorry, got to take off the glasses. Whether it be through permitting of a new development area, monitoring of existing stormwater systems to ensure compliance with existing permits, or providing training to help keep the airport environment as safe as possible, our environmental team is ready to assist. Our familiarity with the Port Authority's permits is extensive, and it allows our team to compare and relate permitted activities to proposed growth and safety improvements at the airports. Our past permitting assistants help the airport provide the required NEPA documentation to help get FAA funding, assess direct growth opportunities at Pagefield and Skyplex, and were instrumental in evaluating ecological features on the airport that attract hazardous wildlife, and then permitting habitat modifications to reduce the risk of wildlife strikes. In addition to permitting, JEI has provided water quality and water level monitoring for RSW since 2005, maintaining 2 decades of valuable background data. We continue to collect water quality samples at the airport's outfall through the year to assess water quality before it discharges into local waterways and downstream neighbors. And we also monitor water levels throughout RSW properties in the natural and operational areas. With real-time monitoring of water levels coupled with automatic high water level alerts, this allows the coordination with agencies to adjust flow rates, allowing you to be resilient in the face of natural disasters like Hurricane Ian and other unexpected emergency events. The fast growth and complex changes seen at Page Field and RSW make it important for infrastructures like chemical storage and fueling facilities to keep pace. JEI assists the Port Authority with keeping in front of registrations and reporting requirements as they expand the capacity and improve functionalities of these systems. The Port Authority has shown its dedication to safeguarding the water quality in our areas, and JEI continues to develop and perfect plans, evaluations, and training events to help with your compliance. We do the same as well with your control and countermeasure plans. This allows us to make trainings specific to your airports. And to add further to the Port Authority's safety goals, both of your airports have approved wildlife hazard management plans, which JEI helped prepare, and our qualified wildlife biologists provide training exercises and presentations on wildlife hazard management specific to your airports in accordance with FAA advisory circulars, all aimed at keeping the travelers and the people in Southwest Florida as safe as possible in your airport environment. And finally, wildlife issues do pop up unexpectedly. Our 2 local qualified airport wildlife biologists provide timely solutions to the unexpected, potentially like a gopher tortoise popping up inside the AOA, to maybe burrowing owls deciding to take up residence in some of your hangars. Our team also conducts monthly observations in and around the RSW airfield to help the airport be proactive in addressing potential wildlife hazards in the ever-changing environment. Hopefully, we have demonstrated today while the JEI team brings you unique skills, experience, and commitment, and knowledge and responsiveness that are vital for this contract. We are ready to serve the Port Authority for the next phase of planning and environmental services, and our team is ready to answer any questions you may have.
All right,
Thank you.
perfect. Questions? Anybody got any? Done this in?
Just one, more of just of curiosity. As you've been measuring the water quality around the airport, what, if any, issues have you found?
So we haven't found any major issues to date. The idea is that you had permits once upon a time that required you to monitor water quality before it leaves your airport. And the airport being proactive and wanting to make sure that they stay ahead and even exceed those permits, even though the monitoring requirement is no longer necessarily required. They've met that. We continue to just make sure that the water leaving your property isn't having any negative effects on the downstream neighbors or local waterways. And to date, we've not had any issues.
One other, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, one other question. Again, it's just more from my knowledge than anything on the flow. So your flowways, I'm worried, outside, going out of the airport south, where are the significant flowways ending? Where does the sheet flow and all that?
Yeah, so
from the airport.
Yeah, so going off your airport, you've seen the major conveyances that go along the airport. Ultimately, they do make their way into the Estero Bay. We are in that Estero Bay basin. And so when we're looking at water quality, again, we're looking at what are the requirements of that Estero Bay basin.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions? Got a minute?
All right, well, we have tried to demonstrate to you all that there are some key aspects that separate our firm and make us qualified for this contract. Our multidisciplinary nature, the experience of our team, the proven commitment we have to the Port Authority, the continuity that we have of projects going forward, and the on-call availability and responsiveness are the key factors that we think are valuable. We consider the Port Authority a very important client, and we love the opportunity to demonstrate that continued commitment we have to giving you high qualities levels of service going forward. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any more comments before we vote?
I just gotta say, we're so fortunate to have so many fine local companies.
We are.
Yeah, it's a tough decision.
Very tough, actually. All right, everybody done voting? All right, Mr. Executive Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a few items I have to update the committee on. Kroll Bond Rating is one of the rating agencies that we utilize for our bonds. They recently elevated our long-term rating of our bonds here at RSW from an A+ to an outstanding AA- for its airport revenues bonds. The rating upgrade recognizes a strong recovery in employment levels at RSW, which exceeds the national average. We have a strong balance sheet, robust liquidity, as well as a management team with extensive industry experience that is, effectively been steering our financial operations of the airport. So we were glad to see that upgrade, especially with, some of the near-term financial offerings that we may be having for Concourse E. During the month of September, 560,358 passengers traveled through RSW. This was an increase of 9% compared to September of 2022. It was nice to see a positive number there. And it was also the best September that we've ever had in the history of the airport. So it was a record-breaking September, which was also pretty exciting for us. Year-to-date passenger traffic is down 12%. So we still, have seen that trend of being down compared to last year, but it has been shrinking. We did have a little better summer than what we had seen in the previous months. Page Field, we had 15,835 operations, which was a 23% increase compared to September of 2022, and that set a new record for the month of September as well. So we were excited to see that. Spirit Airlines, if you have not seen, just announced new service from RSW to San Juan, Puerto Rico. We're very pleased to see that service return, and that'll begin on December 15th with flights 4 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Base operations, our fueling operation over at Page Field sold 133,168 gallons of fuel in September of 2023, which was just 1% less than 2022. For fiscal year 2023, sales finished more than 2.2 million gallons, which is down 18.6% compared to fiscal year 2022. This is still the third highest year on record, all while recovering from Hurricane Ian. And those are my comments that I have, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Ben, when we get a huge increase in a good rating, like you mentioned, does that affect any bonds that are in place that we're paying interest on, or does it just benefit the future?
It really, what it does is it benefits more about the future. We don't have any, I mean, it could, depending upon the type of debt that you have out there. We have all fixed rate debt, so it's not gonna affect any of our current debt, but if we had some variable rate debt, it potentially could. It's really more about future debt that we'll potentially be issuing, so.
Well, that's good. Thank
Brian,
you.
anything else to add on that? Okay, thanks.
Good job.
Board attorney item?
None.
Okay, I don't really have any comments. I just think everything's going well and tribute to you, and all I read is good things about the airport. So any other comments?
No, I'm good.
Good.
All right. Public comments on any other matters? All right, take a motion to adjourn. Oh, wait a minute.
You gotta get the vote.
What?
Oh, that's right, publish the results. Sorry.
A drum roll.
There you go. You're supposed to do like this.
Melissa Wendell, Senior Procurement Manager, Lee County Port Authority. In reference to LOQ 23-64, General Planning and Environmental Services for Lee County Port Authority, the final ranking is as follows. Passarella and Associates is ranked number 1, followed by Johnson Engineering, and then Stantec Consulting. Before we go, I have 2 reminders. One is it's getting to be time change time, so don't forget to change your batteries. Your microphone's all set. And number 2 is the next action to be taken is to present the Airport Special Management Committee's recommended ranking to the Board of Port Commissioners at an upcoming publicly noticed meeting. ASMC and board meeting agendas can be found located on our website at www.flylcpa.com. Approval by the board of the ranking will authorize Port Authority staff to enter into negotiations with the top-ranked proposers. Please note, there is a lobbying prohibition in place. It is vitally important that all proposers and their agents understand this prohibition, which essentially means no proposer may contact or communicate with or discuss any matter relating in any way to this solicitation with the authority officers, agents, the ASMC staff members, or employees, including the Board of Port Commissioners or any member of Port Authority staff. So any communication, whether it is written or verbal, or in person or electronic, is to be directed to the designated procurement office contact. The lobbying prohibition includes copying all such persons on written communications, including email correspondence. So the prohibition is in effect until either an agreement is entered into or at the time the solicitation is canceled. Thank you. That's all I have.
Need a motion for this?
Go ahead.
I make a motion, we accept the rankings as presented.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Now I'll take that motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Now you can make it in time.
No, no,
There's
forever.
the